Some authors have critiqued Delone and MacLean's model. This concept, on the other hand, is only applicable to situations in which people choose to utilize technology voluntarily. No matter if a user chooses to accept or reject new technology, how well an information system performs depends on how well it is used. ERP systems, for example, necessitate the utilization of the technology. As a result, it is impossible to gauge the effectiveness of an information system just on how many people use it.
Happiness is contagious, and that's a terrible fact. Is it now possible to at least partially explain this phenomenon? The Journal of Neurology published it this week. A functional MRI equipment was used to examine the brains of participants who were subjected to various noises, including laughing, by a British study team. The premotor cortex region of the brain was stimulated by all of the noises, and this area gets the face muscles ready to move.
Most individuals who want to learn a new language use the tried and true techniques of reading, writing, listening, and repeating. You can better retain terminology if you gesture with your arms while learning, even months later. Memory of a word's meaning is strengthened when it is linked to the brain centers that control movement.
In Western nations, hepatic failure and death from a paracetamol overdose are quite rare. It is possible to prevent accidental ingestions of pediatric supratherapeutics by doing risk assessments and risk management.
Travelers are increasingly relying on social media as a source of information. The purpose of this research is to find out how social media sites show in search engine results when people are looking for travel information. It also demonstrates the difficulties encountered by traditional travel information companies. Researchers have studied the cognitive capacities of lemurs, which have smaller brains than other primates. Lemurs' cognitive capacities are similar to those of monkeys and great apes, according to a series of systematic tests conducted using the same procedures. An important finding of this research is that there is no universal association between brain size and cognitive ability in monkeys. Imitating the currency generated without the state's or government's legal approval is known as counterfeit money. Currency counterfeiting has become a serious problem for many governments and economies. As a result, countries are announcing demonetization and issuing a new currency in order to combat counterfeiting.
This finding is understandable in certain cases in spite of its high significance, that is because the energy efficiency of building operation just represents a single aspect of sustainability.
Each fiscal year, according to the university's financial strategy, monies are allotted to each state account. The item of spending determines how much money goes into each account. Before beginning transactions to spend funds, account managers must make sure that there are sufficient funds in the relevant item.
A university is a non-profit organization, not a corporation. A non-profit college or university is distinct from a for-profit corporation in several ways. A university is a public trust, with no owners. When there are no owners, the company has no one for whom it is obligated to pay dividends or to optimize its earnings. The ultimate purpose of a firm is to maximize profits for its owners. There are a variety of purposes for a university, including educating students, creating new knowledge, and serving the local community.
Zoom video conversations have replaced in-person seminars, work meetings, conferences, and other activities as a result of the coronavirus epidemic. Is it possible that all the time we spend in front of screens is affecting our vision? Maybe that's not the case. New research shows that our visual perception may be incredibly flexible. Intended consequences is our call to action to help us safely use all of the available tools that can help us turn the tide on species loss. We understand the importance of biodiversity, and we are teaming up with the world's leading molecular biologists, technologists, conservation biologists, conservation organizations, ethicists and thought leaders.
Transhumanism is a worldwide philosophical movement that argues for drastically improving human cognition and physiology by creating and making sophisticated technology broadly available. In recent years, it has become fashionable. Transhumanists think that we may develop beyond our human limits and become something more.
There have been a number of methods used to estimate bat populations in the past that have been very susceptible to bias, including photographic estimates, visual estimates, and mark recapture estimates. While thermal imaging cameras can be quite accurate, they are also very costly. Now that bats in Canada and the United States are being wiped out by diseases like the fungus white nose syndrome, what are we to do? The term sleep disorder refers to a person's sleep habits. People who suffer from a sleep problem are more likely to talk or walk in their sleep than those who do not. They have no idea what or where they are talking about. Mental health may be linked, even when there aren't any obvious impacts on the physical. A person's sleep patterns might change significantly if they have been affected by childhood traumas, psychological problems, or despair. As a short-term illness that improves with time, there is no known remedy at this time. People should consult a doctor promptly if it's not going away or if it's painful in any manner.
What is the rate of population growth throughout the world? The present growth rate in the United States and other industrialized countries is quite low. 3 persons are added to the world's population every second on average in most developing countries. The human population will reach 9 billion within a generation if it continues at its current rate of expansion.
Some individuals protest that in order for the eye to adapt and still be a useful tool to its owner, several changes would have had to have occurred concurrently. However, it is not required to infer this if the adjustments were exceedingly modest and gradual.
Wetlands along the shore are vital to both the ecology and the economy. Natural resources can be found in wetlands. Filtering is a crucial function of these devices. The runoff water retains surplus nutrients and some contaminants as it travels across the area. During dry spells, they keep the water flowing. Many people rely on groundwater for their daily water intake. Soil erosion is prevented as floodwaters are absorbed by these natural sponges. They protect the structures from falling during heavy rains by preventing flooding. Floodwater may be stored for 60 days in the hardwood riparian wetlands of the Mississippi River.
Most persons in South Australia who have a positive COVID-19 test result will continue to live at home or in supervised or assisted care as of right now. There is a team of health specialists who will conduct an evaluation and ask you many questions, including identifying your symptoms, your medical history as well as your ability to self-segregate from other people. A typical fence with a few wires allows most animals such as lions or wild dogs to go over, under or through it. For larger mammals, such as elephants and giraffes, we will create large fence gaps that consist of a sloping, loose rock wall. Because of rhinos' short, stubby legs, they are unable to scale these rock piles.